So we all like video games, don't we? I know I do. But they, at one point, they probably came close to ruining my life. Yeah, they pretty much destroyed my, concentration in school. And they also caused my brother to not bathe for probably 3 months straight. So yeah. And first of all, I got a nice little merch here going. Um, Hanging with Zeddy. Nice new t-shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but, yeah. Good Lord, I'm fat. Um, Yeah, so nice little merch that I got dropped there. So yeah, my first real video game addiction was good old Diablo 2. Actually, no, my first video game addiction was playing with emulators before I went to school, and I already did an episode on that. But Diablo 2 was bad. It was real bad. Um, so, my buddy Travis, back in the day, me and him would play Diablo 2 every day after school. We would, and this was on dial-up. So, oh, I had to pause that recording because I had a bit of a sneezing fit that caused me pretty. I'm 90% sure I just shat my pants. But anyways, yeah, I played Diablo 2 every day with dial-up. And that was when I was 12 years old. We would play it. He was one of those rich kids who had two different phone lines in his house. We did too, but it wasn't because we were rich, because it was a business line, something like that. Actually, no, he didn't have two different phone lines. He had a thing where if he was on the internet using dial-up and someone called him, something would, yeah, he'd be using dial-up to play Diablo. My goodness, my house is full of kids. Yeah, he was on dial-up. So picture him being balls deep in Diablo 2. Someone calls him, a little thing on his screen says, so and so is trying to call you. You can either click this button that says, I'll call him back, or click another button that says, ignore, or something like that. So it was actually pretty neat technology for dial up while you were using the internet. Pretty good. Now, my brother, he was into age. Good lord. I didn't realize I was that gray. Okay. He'd be playing Diablo 2, or not Diablo 2, but Age of Empires 2. He was deep into that. He was not showering for weeks at a time. What? But I remember we went on vacation once, and instead of enjoying the vacation, he bought a strategy guide for Age of Empires 2, and he spent the whole entire vacation reading that and taking notes. Now, my brother's a dirtbag. He's a fisherman, and he looks like Trevor Phillips from Grand Theft Auto. He doesn't really look like the kind of guy who would play video games, but deep down, he's got some crusties in his nutsack from not showering enough. And yeah, he played that. So he was a fisherman, so he would play it 6 months of the year. Then the other 6 months of the year he'd be working. So for 6 months of the year, yeah, his nuts were probably brown. Yeah, pretty gross. And it was actually pretty impressive that we could play all that using dial-up, and we never actually upgraded from dial-up until we were about in 2010. So yeah, when I got older and I wanted to play Xbox Live or something like that, I would take it and I would bring it to my brother's apartment in town. Um, Now, my my video game addiction, when I was in school, I wasn't that I was dumb. Well, I might be dumb. I might be mildly retarded, but I would kind of ignore my school projects to play video games, and it really affected it. And I didn't even get to play like online games besides Diablo. And once I got kind of sick of Diablo because I realized how much time I was actually spending on it. Because I had a buddy named Travis, and he would actually choose Diablo 2 over going to like sleepovers and stuff like that. Travis, you're a dick, by the way. Not not the cool Travis, but the other Travis. I have two Travis friends. Like the alpha and beta of Travis's. Um, he was We would like go to sleepovers or birthday parties at his house, and he'd be like, I don't want to go. I want to play Diablo. And he would spend real life money on like gems and stuff in Diablo, which it's as dumb as it is now is even more dumb 20 years ago. Now you see kids spending like $1,000 on Fortnite a year, and they don't even say anything about it. But back in 2002, when back in the good old days, spending real life money on video games just seemed absurd to me, and he was cool with it. Um, and through high school, video games, I basically get home, play video games, go to bed, forget about my homework. Um, Once I became an adult and I knew that video games were, or video game addiction at least, would really affect my schoolwork, I swore off video games for the entirety of that school year. So both different times I went to college, I was the top of the class each time, and it's because I'm not fully retarded, I'm just mildly retarded, and I was actually able to study and concentrate in school, so that really, really helped me out. But I guarantee you that if I had full access to the internet and everything else like that when I was younger, it would have been like 10 times worse. But moving along to my brother about how addicted he was balls deep in World of Warcraft. At one point on his, I don't know how it works, if it's like a server or like a realm, he was like the highest level, had the highest level gear, like top 100 users out of like, I don't know if it was his country or the time zone or what it was in, but he was like the highest leveled character because that's all he would do. He was like, he played as, he was as high as a level as Elon Musk pretended to be. So it's kind of how crazy he went with it. Yeah, it was bad. And he had a roommate that would stay with him, and they would both be playing World of Warcraft at the same time. So there was my brother Jonathan and his buddy Derek. His buddy Derek was like way too into it. At the time, my brother was unemployed because like fishing season was done. And his buddy was like kind of couch crashing because his buddy still had dial up back in like 2000, and really, really quite something back then to not to still only have dial up. So they would be playing World of Warcraft. My brother would not shave, shower, or clean his room. If you have ever seen a episode of Hoarders, it was basically like that, except it wasn't just his floor. His nuts were probably contaminated too. Now, at one point, he got lucky, and that one of the fishermen that he fished with was like, "Oh, hey, I know this lady that's single," and he ended up getting married, and that was the first time he washed his butthole in probably like 2 years. Just real, real nastiness. Um, yeah. Now, another thing, in case you notice that everything's kind of jumpy with the podcast now, I'm using a new program that's offered by Spotify that's kind of editing using AI. Just kind of trying it out, see if it works. Um, During COVID, I was kind of addicted to video games, like I said in that last episode. One guy that I played with, he openly admitted to spending I think he said $1,700 that year on Fortnite skins. Now, I guess I'm not against paying for skin, but as long as it's real life skin, like go to Thailand, pay for some skin there. But paying it for digital skin, it's not cool. I think the one time I actually paid for a microtransaction in a video game was 10 years ago when we first bought Minecraft, and my wife wanted like a candy themed skin, and it was like 50 cents. So I'm like, screw it. And I still feel dirty about spending that 50 cents. Still feels wrong. And when I was in high school, there was actually a club of kids that would constantly play video games, and they were complete addicts. So for those of you that are actually watching this podcast, there's a little video. It was called basically the DS group in my school. Yeah, these are the kids that didn't bathe. Yeah. So, but they were like the nerdy kids who thought they were cooler than you. Last I checked, half of them work in retail, and the other one has CPS visit him on the regular. So and again, I didn't show the names of the people on there, so don't have a fit. Those, yeah, they're kind of like the nerdy kids that thought they were better than you, but their grades were not that great. Their body odor was awful, and they actually weren't that good at video games. They tried to play Metroid Prime Hunters, but no, they weren't that good. Now, is video game addiction as bad as like phone addiction? No, not really, but it can be just as bad. Now, I have one buddy. His video game addiction isn't in that he plays it too much. It's that he sucks so much at it, and that he keeps buying new games, and then like 2 months later he trades them in. So yeah, Travis, if you're listening, try not to suck so much at video games. A few other things about video game addiction. I remember there was one of my buddies, Matt. I talked about him. Whenever he couldn't beat the boss in The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, he would start punching his leg. Matt, I know you're listening. And yeah, I try not to suck so much at video games. A few other kids in our school, they'd always bring their DSs in the class, which, if you don't remember what a DS is, it's basically a Game Boy. Matt would, he played his Game Boy Advance quite a lot, but there was another guy named Matt. He would try to like hide the DS under his desk, and one time I took a pencil and I, boop, pushed the power button, and then he got really mad, and then he got in trouble for it. A couple other guys in our class, they got caught with their DSs. One, so there's a pair of them. They were playing multiplayer together. They both got caught. Both their parents got called about it. One kid, his mom was like, "Yeah, don't do that. Just don't do that." And another kid, his mom was psycho, and she broke his DS in half. But I mean, she was she might have been I'm not going to say who it was, but this individual, her mom was a Jehovah's Witness, and they were like super, super strict about that kind of stuff. So maybe he deserved it, maybe not. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, back to my brother when he was fully addicted to World of Warcraft. And I had one buddy who was addicted to MapleStory, which if you haven't played MapleStory, don't. It's awful. Second of all, it's kind of like, think like World of Warcraft, but for pedophiles. And that's essentially what it is. It's basically like cartoon characters and underage bunny creature. I don't know. Don't look it up. It's awful. Anyways, video games, they're getting better. I was kind of addicted when COVID first hit, but I mean, there was nothing else to do. You couldn't go to the gym, you couldn't go to the library, you couldn't go to the movies, couldn't do nothing. And I was living in a city with no real outdoor areas, so yeah, my grades in school greatly suffered. They picked up again outside of college. When I first met my, sorry, my kids are psycho. Just kidding, my kids aren't psycho. They're like intimidating pro wrestlers. They're at the age where they're intimidating pro wrestlers and like to dive bomb off of the couch and elbow each other in the face. So yeah, I'm getting distracted. Basically, my grades did suffer in high school because of video games, but I mean, it was probably like undiagnosed ADHD where I would go home and play Diablo instead of studying. It wasn't that great. Could have been a lot worse. I could have liked anime, so